Hello, welcome to Screen Rant. Come with me if you want to see the new Terminator. Alright guys, sorry. Arnold is not one of my best impressions. It's more like a guy doing an impression of a guy doing a bad impression of him. But anyway, hi, I'm Greg Elliott, and the Terminator is in the middle of a movie rights shift just as the franchise is getting ready for the release of Terminator Dark Fate. So, what does that mean? Okay, so the Terminator franchise was created by James Cameron and producer Gale Ann Hurd in 1984. Since then, the story has expanded to other media such as TV, video games, novels, card games, and more. In film, it spawned 5 sequels: Terminator 2 Judgment Day, which as I've said before, is my favorite movie of all time, Terminator 3 Rise of the Machines, Terminator Salvation, Terminator Genesis, and the upcoming Terminator Dark Fate. The new sequel is supposed to launch a new trilogy and continue the franchise, but that recently hit a bit of a roadblock as the rights are about to go back to Cameron and Hurd. As we've clearly seen with Marvel and Sony over Spider-Man, rights in Hollywood can be a tricky subject, and Terminators could go back to its creators if they don't reach a deal with the studios, that is. So here's what's happening with the Terminator rights and how this could affect the future of the franchise. So James Cameron came up with the concept for Terminator back in the 80s after having a dream about a metallic torso holding kitchen knives and dragging itself away from an explosion. But at the time, he was still pretty much an unknown director, having only directed Piranha 2: The Spawning. As such, studios were skeptical about him and his story about time-traveling robots, so Cameron sold the rights to the film for $1, yeah, $1, to Gale Ann Hurd with the promise that he would get to direct it, and well, that's how we got the Terminator. The movie was distributed by Orion Pictures, but the rights have been bouncing around ever since. TriStar had them for Terminator 2, and then they went to Warner Brothers for Terminator 3 and Terminator Salvation. And then back in 2011, the rights to Terminator were auctioned off, eventually going to Megan Ellison from Annapurna Pictures for $20 million. She later sold them to her brother David, CEO of Skydance Media, and that's where they currently lie. Skydance's first Terminator film was Genesis in 2015, which was supposed to be the first of a new trilogy, but we all know that didn't do very well, so that never happened. Skydance had to rethink their plans before they lost the rights, and in 2017, they announced Terminator Dark Fate, which would instead be a direct sequel to Terminator 2. They even got James Cameron back as a producer, hoping that they could do better than Genesis with him involved. But some interesting copyright law recently put the future of the series kinda up in the air. So there's a feature in US copyright law that allows authors to get the rights back from studios once 35 years have passed. Gale Ann Hurd recently moved to terminate the copyright grant on Terminator, which means that come November 2020, she and Cameron would get the rights back on a 50-50 split, and they could theoretically block anyone from making Terminator movies without their say-so. But the future is clearly not set, and Skydance has now said they do have a deal in place with Jim Cameron and still control the rights to Terminator for the foreseeable future, which does make sense given that Cameron is supposedly working with them on more Terminator films after Dark Fate with this change in mind. So unless this deal falls through, everything seems to be going as planned. The studio doesn't have to work against the copyright clock anymore, so they should be able to give each new film more time than they did with Genesis and Dark Fate, which hopefully may revive the franchise. I'm always excited for a Terminator movie, so here's hoping that we actually get a good one this time. We'll keep you posted on any updates, so keep checking back with Screen Rant to stay in the loop. I'm Greg Elliott, and I'll be back.